What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a new week. We didn't stream, was it Friday? But I am back for the new week. We're going to be streaming, I'm pretty sure, every day this week. I did release the summary of markets yesterday, so make sure if you guys are in the Discord, make sure to go check that out. On top of that, I did post a video as well. So I did a summary of markets write-up like I typically do. And then I also made a video, which is about 10 minutes long. And I posted that in a Discord as well. So if you want to watch the video, basically the same thing as the write-up. I would say still read the write-up. But if you don't have time, obviously, you can watch the video. It's probably about the same time to read the write-up as it is to watch the video. But either way works. What's going on, Jack? But yeah, today I did a little bit of live calling today, but I was doing a lot of work simultaneously. So not a whole lot of live calling, but I'll go over some of the things that I pointed out. Hey, what's going on, Josh? Mainly a couple of levels during the beginning session of the day. We had, excuse me, we had a couple of value area high tests. We had a value area low test. We had a bull div. We had a bear div. What else did we have? We had a gap, I think, tested. We had a couple of things. I'm doing good, Josh. A little busy, as always. I'm always busy. That's basically what it is, being a one-man show. But I like it. Keeps me active, you know. I'd like to get back into trading, but I still have so many things that I want to get done before I fully dive back into my trading. I'm trying to really focus on my business right now, building out the business, building out the group and everything before I jump into the trading. I want to have everything situated when I do finally hop back into trading. But yeah, the first bot's running, doing pretty good on the bot. Had a small win earlier today. The win rate is starting to level out. The win rate was way too high. It was around 80%. Because right when I started, Bitcoin started to kind of uptrend. So the win rate was a little skewed towards the beginning. The bot is now starting to level out. It is around, what is it? It's at 5 wins, 4 losses, so close to 60%. It should be around 30 to 40%, so it still needs to lose a few times to kind of stay around that normal level that it's at. I haven't fixed the stop loss on the bot yet. That's basically it. That's basically all I've been doing lately. Did a couple of updates on the website. I did open up the Discord again. We filled out all of our slots for May. I opened up 5 more slots for June. Within 7 minutes of me opening the slots, we had one of them fill, so we have 4 slots left. I'm still doing the $100 off discount. I have not gone into the website to change the code yet, so the May 100 code still works. I'm gonna change it to June 100, and we're gonna start a new promotion where if you use the $100 off discount, you just get the Discord. If you don't use the discount and you pay full price for Discord, we're gonna throw on 30 or 60 days of the indicators as well. I haven't decided which one I want to do. I'll probably do the 60 days. But that is the promotion we're going to be doing for June. Yeah, let's get started now. So that was a small recap, just kind of what's going on. Hey, Bitmass, what's going on, man? Let's go ahead and we're going to replay this from the start of the day. I know there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in the world right now. Riots, and we still have the coronavirus, and we still have the lockdown and whatnot. We'll talk about that a little bit towards the end of the stream, towards our after-hours session. So if you guys have any questions about anything like that, just hold it till after stream. Or towards after market, I mean. But yeah, we're going to let it run a little bit here. Get a little bit of price action. Pretty standard day. So right around 10 o'clock, where I typically would start trading, you had a VWAP test. You start to bounce off a VWAP. You're already approaching new highs. You had a small gap down, very minimal. Pretty much instantly filled. Bounced off your daily open. And then basically as soon as you claim VWAP, you were bullish for the morning session. So we had a value area high right up here. We're currently testing it. You can see that value area high is shifting with price. A little bit of a bear div here. Very choppy though. Very choppy. Still approaching new highs. So basically what it's showing throughout the Momo, throughout VWAP, everything, it's a bullish day, right? You have the bullish profile, most of the volume being towards the high, low volume towards the low. The OTS is pretty much green throughout the morning session. You're above VWAP as well. The Momo is positive the entire way. So you don't really want to be counter trading this too much unless you get a really good signal. I think, let me see where my first call out was. I think my first call out is coming up. Let me scroll back. I called out a few things this morning if you guys were in the Discord. Here we go. My first call out was at 10:44. Yeah, almost exactly where we are now. So we'll see what happens here. I'll show you guys what I called out. So like right here, we have the value area high is starting to be lost. So you're trying to lose your value area high here. As you can see right here, we lose it. We come in to retest it, then we lose it. Look at the momentum. The momentum is completely shifting towards the downside. So this is kind of like your first sell signal, right? You have that value area high being failed. You could have shorted this with a stop above the highs and then targeting VWAP and POC. Very standard trade. You could also target the value area low around that same level, right? So I called this out in Discord. Let's see how it played out. So you come back up to retest your value area high, but still no momentum. And then there you go. You hit your first target. POC shifts upwards, so that becomes your secondary target as well. The only thing remaining is your value area low, which is right around here where I marked. You have a slight bull div coming in here. Nothing major though. There is your value area low. It's not testing it exactly, but you are coming right into it. And then watch, you find support. The Momo gives you a bottom warning here. And then you start bouncing right off of that value area low zone. And then you reclaim VWAP. So basically once you reclaim VWAP here, you could take a long stop loss below the value area low, targeting the highs. See how this plays out. I called this out in Discord as well. And there's your value area high. So if you took that trade when you reclaim VWAP, you hit your target. You could hold on to it for like a break of the highs, but a little risky. But today is slightly bullish, so if you did have any contracts left, you could hold on to them. So it tries to give you a little bit of a short signal here. I think I called this out. Let me see. I'll check Discord. What time is it? Around 12. No, so I don't call this out since we're entering lunchtime. It does hit that value area high. One thing it does try to fake you out a little bit here. It gives you a bear div right on that value area high, so it's showing you resistance. The problem is this doesn't look very bearish, right? So it is testing the value area high. It's showing a loss in momentum. But if I were to look at this, this isn't giving you that kind of bear div that you like to trade where it kind of shoots up and then it kind of rolls into a bear div. These are pretty easy to trade because you have a better target, right? These are a little more difficult because this is more of kind of like a consolidation. So it's shooting up and then it's kind of just maintaining that same level. So of course this is going to have less momentum than the initial move up. It's kind of like a bull flag, right? Momentum on the way up, low momentum on the consolidation. This is technically, mathematically a divergence, but trading wise, this is not a very good divergence to trade because it's more of a bull flag than it is like an actual divergence. But if you would have taken this as a short, your stop loss would just be above the highs, obviously, and then you would be targeting the POC and VWAP. Okay. So it tried to give you your target there, but then it got stopped out. So like I said, not a very good short here. It's just not giving you what I call like a pendulum swing. You want to see kind of that pendulum swing where you kind of fail downward and then you kind of swing into the divergence, right? So you push upward, you swing into the divergence. These are very good divergences to trade. When you kind of have that bull flag pattern, it's not a very good divergence. But okay, so we broke above the value area high here. You can see that it's gaining value. You're starting to gain a lot of value up here. Still technically trying to put in a bear div. There's your break into a new high. Still decent value. Loss in momentum coming in. This is lunchtime though, so you really wouldn't be trading this. The only time you would trade this is if you were like holding on to a trade. So now that we're breaking out, we're actually becoming kind of balanced, right? Most of the day is kind of balanced. Still breaking out. Notice how the Momo, I talked about this with people in Discord. You had a buy signal or a buy warning right down here on the Momo, right? That little purple signal. You had a little bit of a buy warning just like you did right in the open of the day. And you can see how both these buy warnings are breaking out. So it shows you that the bulls are really strong today. You have that buy warning coming in, and then look at the trend line on the Momo. The trend line breaks out to the upside, and then you maintain this trend basically all the way through. Now I call this finding a top, right? So if it's shading the upper side, that's finding a top. If it's shading the bottom, that's finding a bottom, right? So you start to have that bottom warning, you break out to the upside, and then the Momo is finding a top. So now you're finding a top, right? You're looking for that supply, right? The resistance. Okay. Now I do call out one of these levels. Let me find where it is. So right around here, there's a 15-minute bear div forming. Okay. And then not only that, I call out the 1-minute bear div that we see around, what time is this? That is 1:46. So let me go to this. So another bear div comes in around 1:46. Which is right around here. Yeah, so right here. So right here we can see that this is trying to break. It's just slow grinding up, right? Very, very slow grind up. And then right here, peak to peak, just like I told you guys, where you have that little bit of a failure and then you swing into it, right? So you fail downward, then you swing into it. And it gives you that bear div. So beautiful bear div here. Starts to form. I call this out in Discord. And then watch what you see here. So the OTS shifts red. I don't have the trail on. I'll show it once we're done with the recap. But the trail is basically following price all the way up. And then the trail breaks right here. So the OTS turns red. The trail breaks. And then we see that bear div start to play out. I don't think I called out anything else after that bear div. Let me see. Oh, I did. Okay, I'll switch to the OTS here in a second. Well, let's actually switch now. So let me go over here. And I will replay it from here. So we have, here's the bear div. You can see all the way up. You had that bottom warning on the Momo. You had a pivot here kind of acting as resistance. You broke through that pivot. The Momo gained, started to find a top. And then all the way up, you were just finding a top, finding a top. Bouncing off that trail. A couple of buy signals along the way. Here's that bear div coming in. It tries to bounce off the trail, but then it fails. You see that white to black flip? Momo right here. Look at the Momo. The Momo is confirming. The Momo gives you that sell signal, or not a sell signal, but it gives you the confirmation that this is a top. So you're topping, and then you're losing momentum towards the downside. You start to have a pivot coming in here, so a little bit of demand. The Momo is also giving you a slight bottom warning. A little bit of accumulation coming in on both the indicators. But then look at here. You try to come in and break into that high, but the trail pushes you down. So you have those two little sell signals come in, and then your trail pushes you down. You break back below your pivot, and now you're heading back towards this pivot around 3056. You had a second pivot come in, third pivot. So a lot of pivots are coming in right here. What that's telling you is, excuse me. What that's telling you is it's a little bit of an accumulation, right? It's trying to find demand. The buyers are trying to hold this. That's why it keeps showing pivot after pivot after pivot after pivot. It's trying to bounce, but it's just struggling. So there you go. There's that pivot. You still have a bottom warning coming in, which you'll typically see in strong trends like this, as you saw all the way up with the sell warnings. You broke through that pivot, another test of the trail. So here's where you start to find that buy pressure. Notice how this pivot, it's on a 1 minute, so they're not going to be exactly perfect. But notice how this pivot gave you that little bit of a support, right? Did a little bit of a failure, reclaimed it, and then you bounced up. So it's giving you that demand. Watch the trail now. So if this were to maintain kind of a bullish trend, this trail should hold. If this trail immediately starts to break, then it's probably looking to go down again. There's also a slight bear div that comes in here. Watch. Yeah, so like right here. I remember seeing this. I don't think I called this out in Discord, but I remember seeing this. Slight bear div coming in here. I don't know if it plays out. Let me see. No, it does not play out. And then it plays out. So it kind of triple peaks you. You had a bear div here. You would have put your stop above the high. You would have got stopped out, and then it played out. So you can't win them all. This would have been a good trade that just got stopped out, sadly. But then look at the Momo. So the Momo gave you a top warning, and then you started to lose momentum once you failed downward with that big red candle. And now the trail has flipped again. We're going back into a downtrend. And there you go. Massive sell-off coming in. And we are caught up to live. So what we just saw, a couple of things here. I'll go over the indicators and I'll go over the volume profile. You had a little bit of a bear div. It stopped out the people who tried to trade that bear div, and then it played out. You tried to find support on this first pivot. You can see that big bounce there. But then the trail kind of nuked you back down into that lower support, right? So then you had a new pivot come in right around that old one. So you're seeing a lot of demand in this like 305, 306 level. But still not able to get above the trail. So we are seeing a little bit of a distribution on a higher time frame, which you're going to see because you have that 50-minute bear div. So like I called out in Discord, you had a 50-minute bear div here. Very obvious. Look at the volume. The volume is pitiful. So the volume on the buy side here is very bad. You're trying to break back into that previous high. You're just not seeing the volume. So it's kind of indicative that The market is slowly grinding up, but there's really nothing backing it. There's not a whole lot of volume backing the market climbing right now. It's a little scary to be on either side, really. But let me go back to the volume profile. I'm going to replay this last little bit here, see if we could have traded any of these. So levels to mark out here, you do have a value area high right where it's bouncing currently. The value area high coming in there. And then you have kind of a gap like right around here. Value area high tries to bounce it, fails. You're trying to find support here. This would give you a little choppy trade. Let me let it play a little bit. We'll catch up to live. There's only one trade that I saw here so far. Yes, there's only one trade. So the only trade this gave you throughout the kind of volume profile trading. Excuse me, guys. It gave you a short signal kind of right here when it failed the value area high, but then it instantly got rejected, right? So it tried to fail the value area high, giving you a little bit of a short signal, but then it reclaimed it. So it almost had like a Quasimodo there. Sorry, I'm not sure why my throat is acting up. But yeah, so you had a little bit of a bounce here. Tried to give you a buy signal, failed. Tried to give you a sell signal, failed. And then it bounced into a buy signal. So depending on how active you were being, you could have taken that trade 3 different ways because of that one level. And I'll zoom in here to make it clear. So you should have been more inclined to buy this instead of short this because of the indicators, mainly the Momo. The Momo is kind of giving you a bottom warning. So shorting this on a bottom warning is a little sketchy. But if you're taking the trade solely based on volume profile, this little failure right here would have kind of given you a short signal because you failed the value area high, retested it, and then failed. This would have given you a little bit of a short signal. You would have lost that trade because it didn't go very far and then it retraced. You could have flipped long here because same exact mentality. You tried to fail the value area high, but then you reclaimed it. So any kind of support trading, it has that same mentality. If you fail the support, but then you reclaim the support, that's a pretty good buy signal. So this tried to give you a buy signal here. Same thought process, stop loss below the low, and then you would have let it run. The next thing that I saw right after that was the POC shifted. So if you were trading this live, this was your value area high, and then your POC was, I think it was somewhere around here. But then we found so much volume towards this distribution that the POC shifted towards the upside. This is pretty bullish. That is giving you that, it's turning from a balanced day into kind of a bullish day, right? Where you have most of that volume being distributed towards the high. So slightly bullish here. You want to pay attention to kind of your previous value area high, which is right around where I marked. And then you want to pay attention to any gaps or anything in the P shape. Because typically those P shapes like we're currently seeing will give you those gaps. So those would be your supports that you would want to hold for the upside. So to make this cleaner, we're going to go and we're going to keep an eye on the indicators, mainly the OTS. If you guys have any questions, as always, feel free to put them in chat. By the way, guys, for the tutoring in Discord, I did open up some slots today and Wednesday. Somebody signed up for the 5 o'clock today, so I still have a 6 o'clock remaining. And then on Wednesday, I will have a 5 o'clock and a 6 o'clock. They're 1 hour sessions, so I changed them from 30-minute sessions to 1 hours because the last couple of tutoring sessions that I did, we went on for like 2 or 3 hours. So even though it said 30 minutes, we talked for a long time. So I just went ahead and extended it a little bit. 30 minutes is not usually enough to cover most of these topics. So I extended it a little bit to an hour. Yeah, so if you guys are in Discord, as always, the tutoring is free. Check out the tutoring channel. If anybody wants to sign up today, like I said, I have a 6 o'clock remaining. And then it's all Eastern time, right? So right now it's 3:30 p.m. for me. I have a 6 o'clock, which is going to be in 2.5 hours. So if anybody wants to sign up for that, feel free. And then same times on Wednesday. This is typically why I do not like trading the end of the day. The end of the day is typically choppier than the beginning of the day. From what I've seen throughout my trading. Obviously it changes based on what's going on fundamentally and what's going on throughout the day, obviously. But for the most part, it seems like the morning session is less choppy than the afternoon session. Do you guys agree with that? I feel like the last 2 hours of the day are typically choppier than the first hour and a half, 2 hours. You do agree with that, Jack? Yeah. I think 2 to 4 p.m. is typically very choppy. I think it's really good for people who are looking for kind of like market making, almost strategies like that. I think market making strategies or something similar, kind of like range bound strategies, or very strong reversal strategies. I think those are better off on the second half of the day. But for momentum strategies or like volume profile trading, kind of like auction process, I think the first 9:30 to 12 p.m. is the better time of the day to trade. A couple of things that I went over in the Discord that are pretty outdated now, so I'm going to go over them on stream here. Let me grab some of these screenshots for our Bitcoin guys. So, a couple of things here. I was showing off just how to find key levels and kind of like standard support and resistance trading just using price action, nothing else. There's not a single indicator on my chart. So I was just going over some basic price action, looking at just 15-minute levels. I really like the 15-minute for this style of trading. So if you are somebody who likes to trade just purely price action, I think the 15-minute is really strong on Bitcoin. But yeah, so a couple of things I mentioned here. You had a point of origin down here, another one here, very clear support and resistance flip here, and then you had a big trap up here, and then you had that last little point where the bulls tried to bounce and they failed multiple times. These are all of your key levels moving forward, right? And then I called out this reclaim here. You tried to fail that point of origin. You see how you found support on it right here. This was the fresh test. This was the first time it was tested. This was a fresh support. Bounced off of it. Little bit of distribution, and then it failed downward. So you had a little bit of a trap here if you tried to breakout trade this. It reclaimed that support. So it gave you a little bit of a deviation, a little bit of a trap. And then you headed straight towards your SR flip, right? Then we had the SR flip, acted as resistance, and then right after it pulled back, pushed straight into that previous resistance on 96.25. And then look at that. Perfect failure off that 96.25. So just start to finish, you guys can see how to find key levels on a chart and how to trade them. Very simple stuff. You don't have to do anything too crazy. I talk about this in my videos. So for you guys who watch my support and resistance videos, How to find all of these levels are pretty well explained in those videos. I can show you kind of how to do that on SPY as well. It's very simple. Jack said Bitcoin at 95.17 at the moment. It's at 96.17. What is that? One of the levels that I marked. Yeah, it's close to that reclaim level. If it reclaims this, you should easily start to see this trap being tested around like 97. But it's a lot of resistance. But look at this chart. This chart's a little outdated, but what it was doing during this chart is kind of like an inverse head and shoulders. Shoulder, head, shoulder, and then you're trying to reclaim the resistance, right? But okay, so if I was doing that same kind of technique on SPY, very simple. You just look at your inflection points, right? So where are your shifts in momentum? So we have a clear shift down here, we have a clear shift here, we have a shift here, and we have a shift here. So these are like your 4 points. Right? Those are your 4 trend points. So you just go ahead, you grab these levels. So there you go. Those are your 4 kind of support and resistance levels, right? You can grab a few more, obviously, like these in-between levels, but those are the most important ones. Okay. This one is actually stronger than this one. So I could have marked this one as well. The reason this one is stronger than this one is because this one led to a new high. This one did not. So typically the levels that you want to look for are the ones that lead to new highs or new lows. So like this one led to new highs, and this was actually a new low as well. It was a new low and it led to a new high. Same thing here. It led to a new high. This one led to a new low, etc. Right? So those are going to be stronger levels. But either way, these are basically the same level. It's a support. You have your supports coming in. You can see what happened. This was your main support on the main resistance. You tried to break through that resistance. You front ran it a little bit, and then you failed downward. But once you started to kind of find resistance towards this level, that was a good sign that it was going down. Okay? And to look for where you would target during price. So like if you were shorting this and you were thinking, okay, where do I target? This is the best place to target. You could target the levels in between. So like this SR flip here, you could have targeted that. But this is like your final target. You have a point of origin, and then you have a failure at the top. The point of origin is always like your final target. You could take some profit in between, but that is where you're looking to go towards. Okay. So then once again, boom, you come down. Very nice support. So same thing. You would grab, you have a new level here because this put in a new low. Let me actually delete all these other levels. We'll go one by one. So you put in a new level here because this level put in a new low, right? You put in a new low. That becomes a point of origin, and you still have your point of origin back here, obviously. So once you start to bounce here, it gives you a piercing pattern. A piercing pattern is when you have that big red sell candle, and then you have that green candle kind of push back into that red candle. That gives you that piercing pattern. That's a bullish pattern. You have a piercing pattern here, and then you climb, and look where you climb towards. You climb right towards that point of origin. So once again, you don't hit it exactly. You're kind of front running a little bit. But if you do take the wicks, it does look like it hits it. Yeah, if you take the wicks, it hits it. I think the same thing here as well. You don't hit the bodies, but if you take the wicks, it does hit the wicks. I typically only do bodies, and I think of them more as zones, not like hard levels. So if I mark out this level here, I think of this more as like a zone. You guys in Discord will typically see me do stuff like this, where I'll mark out the point of origin kind of with a lighter level, and then where it starts to turn into liquidity, I'll mark it out with a higher level, or sorry, a thicker level. I haven't talked about liquidity in a video just yet, but I will be making a video on that probably sometime in the future. So like right here would have been a liquidity level, and then basically you don't really have any strong liquidity levels until I'd say back around here. But yeah, that's basically it. Very, very simple stuff. Looking for key inflection points and kind of reversal points. Looking at just a price action chart, you can find very significant levels without any fancy indicators and whatnot, right? The indicators definitely help, for sure. Another key level here is when you see stuff like this, you want to pay attention to stuff like this. You see this a lot on like Bitcoin, but you see it as well on stocks and indices as well. But when you see stuff like this, where it's like finding a support and it fails downward, and then you kind of reclaim it, and then it acts as support, right? So it's like resistance. It's like shifting. It's an SR flip. You see it act as support. You see it act as resistance, and then you see it act as support again. These are very strong levels. So make sure you pay attention to levels like that. They're not as easy to catch. You have to kind of pay more attention. Let's see, like something like this right here. Look at this. Support, support, resistance, support. So when you have those shift from one side to the other, those are very strong levels. So make sure you pay attention to stuff like that. Like I said, much harder to spot, but once you kind of train your eye on a chart, it becomes a lot easier. Like I'm probably missing some just quickly scrolling through, because it's not as easy to spot. Something like this right here. You see that? Support, support. Kind of push through it, but then look at this. Resistance, resistance, and then boom, massive nuke. So those are other levels that are very important. And also look at that level. That level almost became the top. So that level from back there almost became the top for price currently. And you can do that on higher time frames as well. But all right, let's go back to the live chart. Take a look at what's going on here. Starting to see a little bit of a bull div come in. You can see a little bit of a bull div towards the lows. Very, very slight. Bitcoin actually trying to break out here. You can see you're above your previous 3 days worth of value area high. So you are looking to try to gain value at a higher level. Sorry, I was posting that in Discord. Definitely something to keep an eye on here. If Bitcoin starts to gain value above this 95.80 range, you could easily start to head towards 97, 97.50. So keep your eye on that. You can see how these 3 days, today, yesterday, day before, even this day here, even this day here, well, not this one, so these 4 days, the value area high is being shifted, all right? Or sorry, not being shifted, it's being broken. All 4 of these days, the value is above the previous 4 days. No, I'm not currently in a trade. I'm still holding mainly cash on Bitcoin. I've been cashed out of Bitcoin for some time now. I took profit very early around 66. I sold some around mid 7s, mid 8s, and then mid 9s as well. But I'm basically fully cashed out now. I have like less than $500, less than, it's probably closer to 1,000, but very, very minimal. I try not to count all my money on my different accounts. But I have consolidated almost all my crypto accounts. I had a shit ton. I had like 5 or 6. Now I only have, I think, two or 3. I think 2. Coinbase and BitMEX are like the only accounts I have now. I consolidated everything else. BitMEX is my trading bot account, and then my Coinbase is like my long-term holdings. You can see this small bull div playing out, tapping the trail. Like I told you guys, the bull divs and the bear divs, typically pretty easy target is the trail. Hey, Keith, what's going on, man? One thing I'm definitely going to be keeping my eye on for the next couple of weeks is the VIX. The VIX is the volatility index for the US market. The VIX is something to really watch currently because we're seeing riots, we're seeing coronavirus, we're seeing the lockdowns, we're seeing the China trade deal collapse, we're seeing the oil market try to recover here. There's a lot going on that will start to affect the VIX, right? It will start to affect the volatility. And it's just currently like the market is ignoring it. The market is ignoring world events. The market is ignoring basically everything right now. And it's just continuing higher. That can't go on forever, right? Now, that doesn't mean it's going to nuke. But it shouldn't just be going straight up here. It should be at least correcting a little bit. Maybe pulling back, consolidating, something like that. It should not be slow grinding up during what we're seeing in the world right now. So I'd keep your eye on the VIX. I checked the VIX earlier today. I didn't see any real signals or anything. One thing to really watch for, especially if you have the indicators, if you have the OTS, one thing to watch is the trail. When this trail flips, it usually stays flipped for a long time. And also watch for confirmation on the Momo. The Momo is giving you a bull div here, but it's already played out slightly. So now it has to kind of create a new div. But the trail, I've already set an alert on this. I have a bullish trail flip ready. I need to delete all these. Let me clear these. But yeah, so I've got a bullish trail flip here. So when this trail flips, I'm definitely going to want to get alerted to that. You also want to watch the Momo. So when the Momo flips, I need to set that alert right now, actually. Let me go here. Let's go to the Momo. And I want to do... Which one do I want to do? I want to do the price line. Price over 10. I think price over 10 would be good. Trying to figure out which one I want to do here. I think price over 10 is fine. Let's do price over 10. That will alert us when the histogram is going above 10. When it starts to get strong towards the upside. Did that go in? It did. Okay, good. Yeah, keep an eye on the VIX. The VIX will... It will alert you, right? So if the VIX starts spiking, it's usually for good reason. Now we're slowly trying to get back towards equilibrium. Equilibrium on the VIX is typically around like 20. You can see how it's typically around like 20-ish. A lot of the times it's a little bit lower, 15, 10. 10 is usually pretty damn low. 10 is like the bottom. So 10 would be the bottom. I'd say the top is somewhere around 25 to 30, and then the equilibrium is somewhere around 20. Anything above like 30, 25, you're starting to get those major spikes, right? All these spikes. But 20 is typically about standard, and we're currently at 28. So it's trying to get back to equilibrium. But I just don't think it's fully there yet. I think we could easily see one more spike on the VIX, which would lead the markets down, so watch out for that. What I'm talking about here is, you see how this is just slowly grinding up? There's really no pullbacks. You had one pullback here, but all these little pullbacks are not really indicative of what we're seeing on the global scale. But trading what you see and not what you believe, this right here is very bullish. And this is telling us that we should be targeting somewhere around 331. Okay? So, don't get too optimistic towards the downside just yet, because the bulls are still very strong. And if we look at Fibonacci, which one do I want here? Here we go. So if we look at Fibonacci and we use my 0.13 technique, which is kind of that fake out zone. This is like that fake out zone right here. If we start to claim this 0.13 and start to break through before it comes back, then this should flip into support. But if we start to fail here before breaking that 3087, then it's most likely a fake out and it will continue lower. So if this climbs to like 308, 309, it should continue higher. So watch out for that kind of 308, 309 level. If it does break through that, then you would be targeting this upper range around 330 to 347. That's what we're kind of watching here. Weekly is still showing bullish strength. Problem is, volume is like non-existent. 4 hour giving a slight bear div. 1 hour giving a slight bear div with a pivot. 15 minute playing out a bear div. 5 minute playing out a bear div, rolling over. And then 1 minute just getting very choppy. Pretty disgusting price action. Look at the difference in this price action here. Beautiful trend up, and then kind of a beautiful trend down, and then it just gets extremely choppy. It can't be this clean all the time, right? That would be too easy. So very clean, pretty clean here, but then very choppy. Hey, Melvin, what's going on? Extremely choppy. Yeah, it is, for sure. The close of the market is coming in about 5 minutes. We do have a little bit of a Fed window coming in here, but I did hear that they've been putting far less into their repo operations. So not a whole lot of treasury buying or anything. JMA seems very happy about Tesla. Let's take a look at Tesla. Yeah, he definitely got his move that he was looking for. Yeah, beautiful. Look at that. So we called this out on Discord, or sorry, not Discord, Twitter. I gave you about a 5% move. Yeah, 4%. I did a little bit of an analysis request on Saturday. JMA asked me to do Tesla. Tesla had a beautiful uptrend here. Just perfect uptrend. Kind of ascending triangle into that uptrend. And then he bounced right off of it on Friday into Monday here. So like I said on Twitter, there is basically no reason to not target 916 here. You have a little bit of a gap here, and then you have that point of origin around 916. The trend is leading you directly into that level. So even if you pull back one more time, you still will most likely hit that level. But either way, you damn near hit that target on this on today's candle. It's a really good trade. Gap up, then just strong continuation. Pretty simple. Pretty simple. Very nice. It's actually going in for a new daily high right now. Right on the close. Snapchat's almost at $20. This thing has been climbing. Buy signal came in around 16.75. Pushing it up into 20. Carnival still climbing. This looks pretty good too. Accumulation high break, flipping resistance into support. Looks pretty solid. Keep your eye on Carnival. Boeing was another one that we went over on Twitter. Still looks like it's playing out towards the upside. Tech stocks, let's look at FANG. FANG doing very well. Flipped that high into support. Gave a buy signal around 933. Now it's at 977. So big tech stocks doing very well. Keep an eye on SPY here towards the end of the day. 2 minutes left on the day. Hey, Toggy, so can you please take a look at VAKBN? Maybe there is accumulation ascending triangle. What do you think? I'll take a look. Yeah, so that's just very standard accumulation. It's actually accumulating directly on a pivot, which is beautiful. This pivot is from back April 2019. You can see this blue pivot all the way from back here is acting as this bottom, and we're starting to break out. This looks very bullish. This looks extremely bullish. You're breaking your highs. You can see your highs back here. You're flipping your trail red to green. It has not flipped since way back here before the dump. Yeah, it looks very good. As long as it maintains above that trail, you should be able to continue higher straight into that pivot around 550. Looks pretty solid. So it looks like there's a lot of resistance on the weekly around $5. That could be something holding it back. But then your main target on the daily is around 550. So yeah, I'd say very bullish. Resistance $5, 550. Pretty standard. The markets have closed. A little bit of a sell-off there on the end of the day. And actually selling off into after hours too. Yeah, no problem. I can't stay too long, guys. I do have a tutoring session to get to at 5. Somebody in the Discord signed up, so I'll be getting off here probably in the next 20 minutes or so. You guys have any questions about anything? Looks like Bitcoin retraced back into that value area. So most likely going to see 95.30. It exited, then came right back. Typically when that happens, you'll go the distance of the value area. Melvin said, do you think DAX will be a good start around this current price? DAX? Is that a stock? What is DAX? Are you talking about this? Oh, you said, do you think DAX will be a good short around this current price? Are you talking about this stock? The German index? I think that's what this is. Oh, it's this. You're talking about the index. I gotcha. Yeah, it's definitely approaching resistance. So if you're talking about shorting it, it does seem like there is a lot of resistance here. You have resistance on that pivot towards that low there. It is starting to fail downward as well. Yeah, it's kind of flipping this. It's flipping this range low too. So you have a range low, broke out to the upside, tried to find support, and now you're hitting it as resistance. So I definitely think this is hitting resistance. Said DE30. What is that? DE30 euro. The same thing? Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. Yeah, it's hitting that pivot perfectly. The same thing here. You have resistance kind of right here. I can go to the weekly to probably make it easier to see. Weekly shows you had support here. And now you're kind of retesting it as resistance. If you start to fail, it's too early to call because you have such a strong breakout. But if this does start to retrace, probably back below like 11,650, 11,700, then it would probably be a decent sell signal, kind of like dark cloud cover. Right now it's pretty bullish, but if it starts to fail, wouldn't look too bad. You wouldn't have much of a target though. The trail would probably be your target. maybe even back towards these previous levels, but not a really big target. I'd say more of a correction than a complete failure. Thoughts on Bitcoin on macro time frame? Macro, pretty simple. It's just distributing. I can't go over too much because I talk about it a lot in Discord. But on simple terms, it's just distribution. I think I have it marked on one of these charts. Yeah, you bounced off this support down here, and then you are hitting in resistance. So just to clean this up, it's really simple. You just have a distribution, and you're just ranging inside of it. There is no real direction. You're just ranging inside of a distribution. So as the distribution technique states, sell the highs, buy the lows. You already had a buy signal. You came in for a sell signal there. You came in for a sell signal there. So you've had 2 sell signals already. You've had 1 buy signal. And it's just playing out the distribution. Besides that, I can't go into more depth because I go in depth on Discord. But if you check the summary of markets in Discord, I talk about it. But all right, guys, I got to get going. I got a tutoring session coming up with a member in Discord. Like I said, if you guys, there's 1 slot left for today. 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. is available. Besides that, I will be tutoring on Wednesday as well, 5 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Eastern. And then we'll also be streaming tomorrow and Wednesday as well, same time, 3 p.m. Eastern. But yeah, guys, that's all I got for you guys. Appreciate you guys being here live. If you guys are watching the VOD, thank you for stopping by as well. Make sure to hit that like button on YouTube if you guys like the content. Make sure to subscribe if you're new here. I do stream 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. You guys have a good rest of your day. Have a good night. Peace.